Hi, it's Juris and welcome to Tattoo Shop Talk. And today we will take a look at two tattoo machines by Inkclaw. Well, it's kind of same tattoo machine, two different models. It's the Inkclaw Tortoise tattoo machine Model 1 and Model 2. If you look at their webpage, things can get a bit confusing. There's like sort of same looking tattoo machines, but there's different variations of them. Let's do our usual. Let's look at these tattoo machines, overview, ups, downs, and who these tattoo machines might be for. Let's start with the price. These come in at 387.43 euros. What a weird price. Basically around 380 euros, so that would be around same in US, around 400. Prices change a little bit on the website, so I'll put them up on the screen so you can see as I can see. Main difference between Model 1 and Model 2 is battery placement. As you can see on the Model 1, battery is placed there at the bottom, and on Mark 2 it's placed on the side here. I would say for me, I have a bit bigger hands, so like I can feel it resting on my knuckles or on the side of my arm. So this option would be better for my arms. Now, why there's so many Mark 1s and Mark 2s on their webpage, and here's why. There's difference between machines with the battery placement, but there's also difference in the bar at the back. One of the bars have a screw that hits the machine sort of there, and one rubber band, and the other one is like this without any screw, and it have two rubber bands. And that's why there are so many different variations, because you can get this model with that bar, this model with other bar, and other way around. And then there's also color choices on top of that. There's black, silver, and gold, and there's also a cheaper version, 240 something euros, and that's just a plain sort of tortoise without battery. And in my opinion, the whole point of this tattoo machine is that there's that battery and you can work wireless. As the batteries themselves, there are these little things, little chunky cute things. My machine came with the charger and extra battery, so I have two batteries and a charger. That would be the overview. And now also, if you click on any of those models, it opens more options. It seems like they will have maybe more options in the future, sort of for left or right-handed use. And then there's a bunch of strokes and combinations of the stroke and the bar that you're getting. My machines were set to 4mm stroke and I'm pretty happy with it. You can adjust the stroke. There's videos online by Inkclaw how to do it, but it's sort of recommended to be careful with it. From what I read about these tattoo machines, sort of you can adjust it, but at your own risks. Mine works fine. I'm fine with it. I'm not gonna touch it. I don't want to mess it up. And you can see this 3.5mm screw knocking, 4.0mm most recommended screw knocking, 4.5mm screw knocking, 3.5mm rubber knocking, and so on and so on. As for where battery goes, it goes back in here, and there's your battery. It goes with the plus side up. If you put it in other way around, it's just not going to turn on. So you just switch it around and it's all good. Let's start with the ups, and I think price is really not too bad. Less than 400 and you get wireless tattoo machine that can be worked with cartridge needles and bar needles. And it's a big plus if you're using both systems or only bar needles, you have that option and you can get wireless tattoo machine. As a nice extra option, you can get some sweet grips, and you can get adjustable grip in steel. See the nice Inkclaw branding on there, and that's 67 euros. And there's aluminum one, and this one is around like 40 euros, and that would be this one. This one is in black color. There's also some color options. You can also get grip for like a regular needles where you can fit the plastic tip in and you have a nice steel grip. In comparison to regular grips, I found one here, so they're pretty close in size, only this one is adjustable. Obviously this one is heavier and I prefer the steel one. Somehow I prefer heavier grips, and it also gives nice balance on a tattoo machine. Or you can just fit regular disposable grips and work that way. That would all fit if you're using needles on a bar. Put your regular grip in and work away. That would be situation like that. On a machine itself, it's pretty simple. There's a little screen on the side. Let's switch it on. Boom, you see, and it's pretty straightforward what's going on. Voltage, battery, and timer. And pretty straightforward controls. In the center, it's a run button. There you go. And voltage up and voltage down. And if you want to reset the timer, then press up and down together. There you go. zeros. The differences between models is battery placement, and the difference in between bars is pretty significant. I use mostly the one with rubber bands, and that's because it has enough power for what I need, and the other one with the knocking screws seems way stronger. Also, when you run them, let's put both at 6 voltage. Recommended voltage for bar needles is 4 volts to 6.5, and for cartridge needles it's 5 to 7.5 volts. Let's switch them both on at 6 volts and hear how they sound. This one is with rubber bands. That's at 6. And that's at 4.5. Another one will be a bit louder, so let's start at 6 and go down to 4.5, and then it becomes way more chill. But at 6, 6.5, let's do the recommended 7.5. That's kind of quiet again, but this is wild. Now, in terms how long the battery lasts, on the web page it says 2.5 to 4.5 hours depending on brands of battery and the capacity. I can't really tell exact numbers because I had times when I worked with it and it was out after a bit more than an hour, and another time I think I worked like some 2-3 hours and it was still plenty, and that's depending on what you do, what voltages. And actually the one where it ran out faster was with the bar needles, and with cartridges somehow I managed to work for longer hours, significantly longer, but I can't tell all the little things that can affect it. And even if it's just an hour or a bit more with one battery, you have another one charging, it's healthy to take a little break, do a little stretch, change batteries. It's pretty easy to pack them. You pack the grip the way you pack your grips. I use the sticky plastic and some tape, and on the back you can just throw a little machine bag with the rubber band on. It fits over the whole thing. Grip is packed, or if you're using disposables, even easier, just a machine bag and you covered. On these grips there's a little weird thing. When you push the cartridge needle in, it still has a little sort of like a spring action, sort of you can still push it a bit more. It's sort of maybe like meant to be some sort of a give or something. But if you screw the grip all the way in, then it stops, then it's fixed in a place. Maybe that's a give, or maybe it's some sort of by effect of the way they are built. Grips themselves you can take apart, both aluminium and a steel one. Comes apart this far, and there's the funky mechanism with the little spring action. This stuff seems like you can also throw it in the autoclave if a need be. Rest is recommended to use disinfectants, high-level surface disinfectants, so you can keep it sanitized. With the regular grips, obviously autoclave or disposable one. Conclusions on an UPS reasonably priced tattoo machine can be worked both with the needles on a bar or cartridge needles. You can also get extra grip if you want a heavier front, or use whatever you have. It has batteries, it's wireless, very minimalist design, easy to understand controls, timer for them who need a timer. Now let's slide into sort of downsides-ish. And these days it's hard to find downsides because most of the machines are really good. This one I would say is pretty unique one. One of the sort of ups that is there, but I haven't figured out completely how to adjust it perfect, and that would be this little wheel that holds needle in place. For plunger, for cartridge needles, it's absolutely no problem. With the needles on a bar, I struggle to adjust perfectly. In that instance, I think even rubber band would be easier, but obviously we don't want to use rubber. We are sustainable people. We have this option. There's also a video on Inkclaw's webpage how to adjust needle, how you want to bend it, and that makes it a bit easier, but it takes a bit of playing around where you adjust it, and then as you tighten it, it tightens a bit more, so you have to find that sweet spot. It's not a downside, it's just a little learning curve. Let's say, for example, you've had a Dan Cuban's machine. Bending needles there is the whole different ritual. In that instance, I would say it's not too bad. It's just something that I have to play around a bit more than I'm usually used to. As for build quality, the machine itself feels pretty solid. There are some minor things. One thing that happened when I just got it, I unscrewed this screw too much and a little spring action sort of popped off, and then I had to spend some time to adjust it correctly so it tightens the grip as it should. But like, oh, let's try it. There's a little washer type of a thing on the top. Right there. I'll take that off. The machine also comes with some spare parts, so if you lose one, there is some replacement things. And you see there's a little spring that helps to move the little cap up. I unscrewed it a bit much, it popped off. Then I was like, oh, where should I put washer and this and that? Minor things, but maybe don't undo it if you don't know what's in there. Then the wheel is there. Machine itself, very solid. Aluminium, I guess. Everything is aluminium. feels solid. This cap feels solid. You also get like a replacement O-ring if a need be. As for build quality, maybe it's because I got some test models or early models. Only difference is that you can see on this one, screen is a bit tilted. It's not an issue. Technically, machine works fine. It's just funny when you switch one on, the screen is... Actually, it's not perfect. It's a bit tilted on both, but on this one, it's a bit more. So that's sort of a funny minor thing. And also, like, it can be adjusted. It's just a bit complex. It's sort of at your own risks. The option is there. I wish it would be easier, but again, it works fine. I'm not going there. And if I need be, if I'm adventurous, I can try to adjust it. And in a downside, also maybe the battery life, because if it lasts only an hour, you would like a bit extra. Also, in the lower end, when battery is empty, it sometimes switches off. You want to run it, it sort of stops and switches off the machine. You again switch it on, so that's a bit annoying, but there is some sort of system that doesn't let do whatever it's meant to do if battery is too empty. Sort of good, but battery could be longer in that instance. Then again, if I would have to sacrifice sort of the balance, the bigger thing on the back, I don't mind to take a little break and switch out batteries, because we all ignore our health and we work for too long in one go. So this would be sort of a forced reason to take a break and stretch. That would be those few downsides. And if you have bigger hands, then obviously with this type of frame, it will rest on your hand, on your knuckle. I wear extra large gloves, so that's for a reference. On the other model, it sits on the side and it's way better. Also, I find the distance a bit weird when you want to adjust needles. It's sort of, you have to figure out how far you put this one in, and then obviously with cartridges you can adjust this part. With the needles on a bar, you just move thing back and forward. It's not like bad, but there's just something weird in that distance where I have to spend a bit more time than I wanted to find the right like needle depth, and to have the distance there, how far the grip is in. With the regular grip, it feels a bit more natural how it sits. With this one, it's kind of like very close to where the limitations is. So once it's all the way in, you can't push it further. That's my kind of overview, mini review. It's not like a full review. I would like to see how it performs in long term. Same the batteries, the screens, how quick these will die. And at the same time, with these type of batteries, if one dies, you just order another one. These are pretty cheap. These are off-the-shelf batteries. Swap them out. And then battery life should be infinite as long as you charge them. And with time, if they sort of go bad, it's not a big investment, so you can get replacement battery. And who these two machines might be for, I think it's for the people who work with bar needles, but they want to try wireless. Plus, maybe they want to toy a bit with cartridges, because these machines have that option. You can work with needles on a bar, and if you want, put a different grip and you can pop cartridges in and out. Which machine to choose? I find that the one that with the screw at the back is way stronger. So that would be for some huge groupings or more like for cartridge needles. The way I use them, when I use both of them, then I would use the one that have rubber bands at the back. That would be sort of a liner machine. I haven't used them with anything crazy, but something with like I have 14 bug pin liners and I do enjoy using it, and this machine have no problem to push them. Also, I've used it with like smaller cartridge needles like 7 and 5 bug pins, and again this machine does just fine. And this one is more like I used it for coloring with cartridge needles because it feels stronger. With needles on a bar, I would be very careful using it. My colleague used it on one gentleman's palm tattoo with the bigger grouping because he needed to get that ink in, and this machine did fine job. With smaller groupings, I would be careful because it's really strong. It's like scary strong. You get it running and this action sort of hurts. And this one is a bit softer. Again, there could be different variations. They could be adjusted to different strokes. You can order them preset from the factory, and then you can micro adjust if you're brave enough. And this would be perfect tool for people who do the old school stuff, and at the same time they want to try wireless thing and maybe try some cartridge needles in the future. This would be a great machine to try. And it's straight away from factory with the batteries, wireless tattoo machine that works with cartridge needles and needles on a bar. You don't need any adapters, you don't need to think where to put battery. Pretty neat thing. And now you leave your thoughts on this tattoo machine, or maybe if there are some other tattoo machines that you want to mention that would be great for working with bar needles and cartridges and that are wireless. I find this pretty cool. You do your part, leave a comment, let us know what you know, and do all the other YouTube-y stuff. Check all the links in video description. press like to the video. If you're super awesome, then share this video. Now we also have memberships, so if you want to support channel, check out memberships. For now we have 2 tiers. We have 1 member for now, which is Dan. If there will be more shout outs, we'll put your name on the screen. Thank you for support. See you in the future episodes. Comment, like, subscribe. Stay safe. I'm out. And if I forgot to mention something, I will pin a comment in the comment section or add it in the description. Filming B-roll, I remembered that I forgot to mention few things in a video that I filmed before, and here they are. First of all, I forgot to mention that they have a cool special edition color scheme machine. I think it's Evangelion sort of. People who know, they know. Or if you like LA Lakers, you will like the color scheme. Another thing is that working for a longer time, machine tends to heat up. I worked with this one with 2 rubber bands the other day. I was sort of lining with it for around 3.5–4 hours. I used 18 bug pin liner. I was working on gentleman's knees, and I noticed that machine is warming up, and I would say like it's kind of in between warm and hot. It's not like it burns you, but it worries you. You feel it. And during those tattoos, I swapped battery 3 or 4 times. It's a bit annoying when your machine sort of caps out. It was at the last bar of power, and it starts to misbehave. It starts to get sort of stuck, and then I just changed the battery and it was all good. On other hand, like I mentioned, it's nice to take that break, do a little stretch out, and that's like a forced relaxation. Once an hour-ish, you'll take a little break, swap out battery, and continue working. The main thing I wanted to mention is that it heats up, like it warms up. Hot, warm, like you notice it, like you feel it on your hand and it's like warm, and it sort of worries, is it good for machine? Is it good for you? Look at my horrible rig up here. And Lego to match the Inkclaw background. Purr, purr, purr. That's it from me. See you in future episodes. Stay safe. I'm out. Bye.